You've got one night to save Mario from the supernatural. Luigi's Mansion. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
One of the most distinguished launch titles for the GameCube was not a Mario game, but instead a Luigi-led game with Luigi's Mansion. The idea started with the ground of making a game that would show off the graphical power of the GameCube. It would have been set in a Japanese-style house with the player traveling across it, taking inspiration from The Legend of Zelda and the exploration of dungeons. But the Japanese house was changed to a child's dollhouse, and the playable character would be Mario. As development continued, the designers wanted to incorporate dynamic lighting effects. With them putting the focus on the use of shadows and darkness, they again changed the area, making it an American-style haunted mansion. This idea of a haunted house convinced the developers that due to Mario's heroic and brave status, he would not be the appropriate character for this game. So they turned it over to choose Luigi, as they felt he would embody a cowardly character perfectly. Around this time, the GameCube console itself was also in development. This allowed the team of Luigi's Mansion to make some recommendations to further better the demo. One of them, which became vital, was for the design of the controller. They wanted the controller to have two analog sticks that would support the mechanics of movement and directional control. The latter would be responsible for controlling the flashlight and poltergust. With a working controller finalized, testers found the C-stick to be uncomfortable when playing for an extended period. With this feedback, a better design made the C-stick wider and more comfortable. The elements of the game, that being of ice, fire, and water, came with the GameCube having a fully powered graphical chip that can render them better than the Nintendo 64. It also included dust clouds, creating a dynamic dust system that allows each dust cloud to seem different, with one developer working on it for 6 months. For the game's story, we find Luigi heading to a mysterious mansion that he won in a contest that he did not sign up for. He tells Mario that they agree to meet up at the mansion for a celebration. Entering the house, Luigi is attacked by a ghost, but then is rescued by a scientist who introduces himself as Professor Elvin Gadd, or EGAD for short. He informs Luigi that the mansion is supernatural in nature and only existed for 2 nights, and that he saw Mario entering the house earlier and has not seen him since. EGAD equips Luigi with ghost hunting technology, such as the Poltergust 3000 vacuum cleaner and Game Boy Horror communication device, as he returns to the mansion to capture ghosts and find Mario. Diving into the gameplay, the mansion is split into 4 areas, with each one becoming available based on the player's progression. To capture a ghost, the player will stun them with Luigi's flashlight, which displays the ghost's heart. Once the ghost is stunned, the player will use the Poltergust 3000 to decrease the ghost's health points to 0, to suck them up and capture them. There are puzzle factors for some ghosts, particularly the portrait ghosts, required the use of the Game Boy Horror to seize them. Speaking of which, there are elemental medallions that include fire, water, and ice, which can be used to combat specific enemies that are vulnerable to these elements. With the Game Boy Horror, it has several functions. It has a map hub that keeps track of rooms that are open and can guide the player on new doors to unlock whenever a key is found in a treasure chest. It can also be used to scan objects, detect boos, and make a catalog of treasures that have been collected and portrait ghosts the players have caught. Luigi's Mansion would receive positive reviews by game critics, praising the gameplay, graphics, and design, but had received some criticism for its short length. A remake of Luigi's Mansion was released on the Nintendo 3DS on October 12, 2018. There are also 2 sequels of Luigi's Mansion, with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, also on the 3DS, and Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Nintendo Switch. There was also an arcade game called Luigi's Mansion Arcade, which is an on-rails light gun game with 2 players using the Poltergust.
Space Combat. Star Wars Rogue Leader. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated T for teen.
Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader is the sequel to Star Wars Rogue Squadron Rogue Leader. The original game was released for the Nintendo 64 on December 7, 1998, and developed by Factor 5. It was both a critical and commercial success, and Factor 5 sought out to create a direct sequel. Around mid-2000, they were working on Star Wars Episode 1, Battle for Naboo, and after receiving an early GameCube prototype hardware, the team immediately got to working on a tech demo after gaining LucasArts approval. 19 days later, a playable demo debuted in Space World, Nintendo's trade show. Rogue Squadron 2's gameplay involves an arcade-like action flight simulator, where the player acts as a Rogue Squadron fighter. There are 10 levels. One includes a reenactment of the Death Star battle from A New Hope. The objectives from each stage vary from Search and Destroy to Defender. The player can also manage a squad to do certain tasks like shoot and form into a group. There are also secret levels that can be unlocked. A few of them allow the player to pilot the Millennium Falcon, and the others where the Rebel Alliance fights Darth Vader. After its release, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader gained positive reviews, with praise given to the sound design, graphics, and gameplay, and criticism given to the lack of multiplayer. In 2003, the third and last of the Rogue Squadron series, Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike, was released.
Super Monkey Ball was created by Amusement Vision, a branch of Sega that was founded in 2000 by Sega director Toshiro Nakoshi. Nakoshi joined Sega as a designer in 1989, and later he rose to the position of director for arcade games, including Daytona USA and Virtua Striker. When he founded Amusement Vision, he wanted to diverge from the simulator games and create something that would be simple to pick up and play. A game that would be comparable to Marble Madness in terms of navigating a ball through a maze-like environment. Early prototypes featured a straightforward colored ball with a sticker on it, but it didn't last long because of its unappealing nature and the testers were unable to track its movement. Eventually, the idea of playing a character in a ball came thanks to Mika Kojima, an Amusement Vision designer whose monkey characters were based on her own creations. The arcade game Monkey Ball made its debut at the Amusement Operator Union Trade Exhibition in 2001. The arcade cabinet was a single-player game controlled by a unique banana-shaped analog stick. The gameplay of Monkey Ball has the player controlling the world rather than the ball. They must navigate the monkeys, I, me, or Baby, through the platform stage using the control stick to tilt the stage before the timer runs out. If the player falls off the stage, they will lose a life and have to start over. There are bananas placed across each step, and collecting 100 of them is worth an extra life. Because Dole had a license arrangement with Sega, the bananas have the Dole Food Company brand. The Dreamcast would have gotten an expanded port of Monkey Ball, but Sega announced that they will discontinue the Dreamcast and step down from the console-making business to become a third-party developer. With this, Amusement Vision learned about the GameCube, and Nakoshi thought that the console would be ideal for Monkey Ball's simple mechanics. It took 10 people, 2 months, and several weeks to build a functional version, and an additional 6 months to include extra modes and multiplayer. Super Monkey Ball has 3 primary game modes: the main game, party games, and mini-games. The main game plays very similarly to its arcade counterparts. The player can choose to play as I, Me, Baby, or new character, Gon, and tilt the stage to get the ball through the goal. The main game has 3 difficulty levels: beginner, advanced, and expert. The player starts each first level with 2 lives and 5 continues. Once the continues are all used up, the game is over. If the player completes the levels without receiving a continue, they'll be given the opportunity to play the extra levels. The practice mode allows the player to rehearse the stage with endless lives. In competition mode, 4 players compete to be the first to complete the stage. Moving on to party games, there is Monkey Race, Monkey Fight, and Monkey Target. Monkey Race has 3 modes: 1 course race, Grand Prix, and Time Attack. 1 course allows just 1 race to be held on whatever course the player chooses. Grand Prix has the player racing through all courses, and Time Attack, where the player must finish a course before time runs out. Monkey Fight has 1 to 4 players taking combat with each other by using the analog stick and the A button to punch one another with a boxing glove attached to the ball. Points are given to the player for how many times they knocked an opponent off an arena. Whichever player has the most points wins. Monkey Target has a player riding down a large ramp and up to the air. Pressing the A button will open the ball and act as a glider. The player would use the analog stick to navigate to land on floating platforms that have different point labels on them. The points vary from 10, 20, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300, and 500. With the mini-games, there are Monkey Billiards, Monkey Golf, and Monkey Bowling. The player would have to unlock them with play points, which can be earned by playing the main game. Super Monkey Ball received many positive reviews from game critics, praising the level of difficulty, simple controls, and multiplayer modes. It also became one of Sega's commercially successful games of all time. A sequel, Super Monkey Ball 2, was released on August 25, 2002. The same year, Super Monkey Ball Jr. was released for the Game Boy Advance. A third game, entitled Super Monkey Ball 3 Banana Crazy, was in the works but was canceled for unknown reasons. In 2005, Super Monkey Ball Deluxe was for the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox. It's a compilation of the first and second games, as well as the original stages for the aborted third game. Along with Deluxe, Touch and Roll for the Nintendo DS were published. Following that, further spin-offs for various systems were published, such as Super Monkey Ball Adventure for the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and PlayStation Portable. Super Monkey Ball 3D for the Nintendo 3DS, Super Monkey Ball Banana Splits, Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll for the Wii, and Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz as a launch title for the Wii, and it had an HD remake for the PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on October 29, 2019. In December 2019, YouTuber Nick Robinson posted a video in which he attempted to locate the uncredited voiceover actor for the original game's announcer. It turned out to be Tokyo-based voiceover actor Brian Matt.
Congratulations! Ready? Go! Yeah.
Oh my God.
On October 5th, 2021, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania was released for the PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series XS. The game is a remake and compilation of Super Monkey Ball 1, 2, and Deluxe. It includes new features, such as 8 playable characters, unlockable characters, and characters that can be accessed through downloadable content, new modes, and gameplay mechanics. Banana Mania received highly favorable reviews from game critics and fans of the series.
So real, the water sucks you in. The weather spits you out. Wave Race Blue Storm. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
Wave Race Blue Storm is the sequel to Wave Race 64, which was a follow-up to the 1992 Wave Race for the original Game Boy. The gameplay of Blue Storm is a jet ski racing game with several modes. The main racing mode is entitled Championship Mode. In Championship Mode, the player would choose which difficulty they want to have. There are 4 levels. Exhibition is a practice mode with 1 course. Normal has 5 courses and 5 days. Hard has 6 courses and 6 days. And Expert has 7 courses and 7 days. After selecting a character, the player will race in a course. In every course, there are buoys in 2 colors, red and yellow. Red buoys are on the left. Yellow buoys are on the right. The player must pass them every time to race, for missing them 5 times leads to a retire, where the player gets a game over to the level. Passing the buoys 5 times will give the player a turbo boost. With the levels, there are weather conditions that can affect the waves and their height. There's clear, partly cloudy, partly rainy, and stormy. Each character has a specific quality to them, such as Ryota Hayami being the most balanced character and good for beginners and experts alike, and Serena Del Mar being best for advanced and expert players. The other modes include Time Attack, where the name of the game is to finish the course as quickly as possible. In Free Roam, the player can roam freely through any course, with no time limit for other racers. Stunt Mode's goal is to gain high points by performing stunts, which can be done using certain button combinations. And finally, there is Multiplayer, which is available for Championship Mode and Stunt Mode. Upon its release, the reception of Blue Storm was favorable, with critics praising the water and weather effects, physics, and graphics.
That's not a fight. Over 20 unexpected characters in one big brawl. Now that's a fight. Super Smash Bros. Melee. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated T for teen.
Super Smash Bros. Melee is a follow-up to Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 64, both developed by HAL Laboratory with head of production Masahiro Sakurai. The first game was created because Sakurai wanted to make a fighting game. He presented to his mentor, the late Satoru Iwata, a prototype called Dragon King, which featured generic characters without health bars. Seeking greater appeal, he replaced these with Nintendo characters, which impressed the company and led to the original game's production. Melee was greenlighted as a direct sequel to the upcoming GameCube, following the first game's success. This was Sakurai's biggest project. The development took 13 months, and he said that his lifestyle was destructive. He took no breaks on holidays or weekends and worked from morning to night from his office. While in production, Hideo Kojima contacted HAL Laboratory for a request to add Metal Gear series character, Solid Snake, in the game, but things were too far into work to add him in. A similar fate befell Sonic, who was also suggested. However, both would appear in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. James Bond from Nintendo 64's GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie were suggested as possible additions, but were turned down due to licensing issues. One character that would have been replaced was Ness from the Mother series. Lucas would have been his stand-in. This was because Mother 3 was in development at the time, and Lucas was the game's primary character. However, Ness stayed in Melee because Mother 3 was having its own development troubles. Unlike many fighting games, each character has a damage meter. The higher the percentage, the easier it is to knock a character off the stage. Melee features a straightforward control scheme, with the A button for standard attacks and the B button for special attacks. The cast of Melee included 25 characters, which are made up of both renewing and new. Returning characters include Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu, Jigglypuff, Captain Falcon, and Ness. New to Melee are Peach, Bowser, Dr. Mario, Zelda/Link, Young Link, Ganondorf, Falco, Pichu, Mewtwo, Marth, Mr. Game & Watch, Roy, and the Ice Climbers. The latter of which were incorporated because Sakurai and his development team wanted to add a character from the Nintendo Entertainment System era. Single-player modes include Classic, Adventure, All-Star, Event Match, Stadium, Home Run Contest, Target Test, Multi-Man Melee, and Training. Classic mode pits the player against several characters in a ladder campaign after selecting a character, life points, and difficulty. Stages 1, 4, and 7 are player versus CPU matchups. Target Test, Snag the Trophies, and Race to the Finish are stages 3, 6, and 9. Stage 2 is a 2 versus 2 battle, with the player having a CPU ally. Stage 5 has the player fighting a giant version of a character with the help of CPU allies. Stage 8 pits the player against 10 copies of a character. Stage 10 features a fight against a metal version of a character. And finally, Stage 11 features Master Hand as the final boss. Adventure mode is a campaign in which the player must complete an objective to progress. All-Star mode, which must be unlocked, requires the player to overcome every character in the game while having 1 life point and 3 health supplements between battles. In Event Match, the player must complete 10 objectives. By completing a certain number of the objectives, more will be unlocked, leading to the final event, the Showdown. In Stadium mode, Home Run Contest gives the player 10 seconds to damage a sandbag and try to launch it as far as possible for rewards. Each character has their own stage in the Target Test, which has no time limit. Multi-Man Melee features 6 modes: Endless, Cruel, 10-man, 100-man, 3-minute, and 15-minute, where the player faces multiple CPUs. A separate training mode allows practice with the CPU. Versus mode includes Melee, Tournament, and Special modes. In Melee, the player faces up to 3 CPUs or other players. Tournament Melee supports up to 64 participants and is divided into Tournament, Winner Out, and Loser Out submodes. Special Melee provides several unique gameplay options. Camera mode lets the 4th player take snapshots during matches. Fixed camera mode keeps the camera view fixed to the entire stage, keeping it stable. Stamina mode starts players with 150 HP each, and once their HP drops to 0, they are removed from the game. Giant Melee makes all characters large. In Invisible mode, the characters cannot be seen. Lightning Melee increases the character's movement speed. Single button mode limits controls to the A button and the control stick, disabling the B button. Slow mode Melee decreases the character's movement speed. Super Sudden Death mode sets each character's damage meter to 300%. Tiny Melee mode makes all characters small. Super Smash Bros. Melee earned widespread acclaim for gameplay, controls, graphics, music, and an expansive character and mode roster. Its sales made it the best-selling GameCube title and led to follow-ups on Wii, Wii U, 3DS, and Switch. The series established a major competitive fighting community, alongside with other fighting games like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter.
Here we see a wild Pikmin in its natural environment. These strange creatures become attached to whoever pulls them from the ground, loyal and obedient. Pikmin work together to fight large predators like this grub dog, even if it means getting eaten. As night falls, the Pikmin return to their nest to rest for another day of hard work. Hang in there, little guys. Pikmin. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
Pikmin is a new IP from Nintendo. It all started with Shigeru Miyamoto's idea for a game named Adam and Eve. It would have the player taking on the role of a god in a prehistoric world, watching over two humans. Depending on the player's actions, the humans would be rivals or start a family. The concept was later scrapped. Meanwhile, at Nintendo Space World 2000, the technical demo, Super Mario 128, was displayed. It featured several Marios interacting on a little platform. The purpose of the demo was to demonstrate the GameCube's strength and the number of characters it can have on the same screen at once. Coming back to the Adam and Eve concept, the developers started the production with a new direction and used the mechanics of the Mario demo. During production, there were many changes to the final project. Originally, there was no main character, with the player using creatures the size of a cat as weapons. Miyamoto suggested that a playable main character be added, and later, the creatures would be changed to the size of ants, and were also given different colors so they could be distinguished from one another, as they were previously all colored black. Other elements that were put on the cutting room floor were to give the Pikmin more free will and disobey the player. The developers, feeling that this would cause nothing but frustration for the player, removed it. The story of Pikmin follows Captain Olimar, a planetary navigator traveling through space for an intergalactic vacation. But his ship, the SS Dolphin, is hit by a meteor, which leads it to crash land on an unknown planet. When Olimar regains consciousness, he learns that the planet's environment is deadly to him, and that his life support system would only keep him alive for 30 days. Additionally, pieces of the Dolphin are dispersed all over the planet. When investigating the crash site, he comes across a bizarre large object that resembles an onion on his planet. The object sprouts a seed that quickly grows into a leaf. Pulling the leaf out, it is revealed to be a small plant-like humanoid creature. Because it resembles the pick carrots of his planet due to its look and size, Olimar calls it a Pikmin. Seeing that the Pikmin will obey his every command, Olimar must use them to find and recover the missing ship parts before time runs out. Pikmin's gameplay is focused on a 30-day deadline. The player has a 15-minute timer for each day, and they must manage their time well to complete all of their objectives, whether that is finding and acquiring ship components, battling foes, demolishing barriers, or constructing bridges. Based on their color, the Pikmin have specific abilities. Red Pikmin are fire resistant and can do more damage to enemies. Yellow Pikmin are lighter in weight and can be thrown to higher places. They can also carry bomb rocks, which can be used to attack enemies and take down walls. And blue Pikmin can go through water. The player must use these abilities to their advantage to achieve their goals. To grow more Pikmin, the player will require pellets that the Pikmin can take to the onion, which can produce more Pikmin depending on the number labeled on the pellet. Additionally, the corpses of enemies can be used as a substitute for pellets, and only 100 Pikmin are allowed on the field. Aside of the main game mode, there is a challenge mode, which is unlockable, has the players growing a high quantity of Pikmin within 15 minutes. The reception for Pikmin was greatly positive, with praise given to its graphics and unique gameplay. It won Best Puzzle Trivia Parlor Game at the Game Critics Award, and at least 1.19 million copies were sold globally. Pikmin has since spanned a series of sequels and spin-offs, with Pikmin 2, 3, 4, Hey Pikmin, Pikmin Bloom, and Pikmin Finder. Pikmin 1 and 2 have had ports for the Nintendo Wii and HD remasters for the Switch. Captain Olimar is also a Super Smash Bros. Character, as he debuted in the third entry of the series, Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
You're a hedgehog, and you have supersonic powers.
Ball up right now and roll! Action! Come on, honey, and you're brave, and you're scared. Hey, focus!
I want you to think about the marketing opportunities here.
Okay, in front of the paper.
What part of supersonic speed do you not understand? The right hedgehog is hard to find. New Sonic Adventure 2 Battle with extra 2-player action. Only on Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
All right, I'm sorry I yelled at you.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle represents a landmark for both Nintendo and Sega. Once rivals in the late 80s and 1990s, trying to dominate the video game world, Sega's beloved mascot finds himself entering the house of Mario. But how did this happen? First off, Battle is an expansion port of the original game for the Dreamcast. Sonic Adventure 2 began its development shortly after the release of the previous Sonic Adventure, with the team behind it taking inspiration from San Francisco to create the first Sonic level. Around its release in 2001, Sega announced that they would be discontinuing the Dreamcast and would become a third-party developer, leading to Adventure 2 getting a new release on the GameCube. The expansion port that Sega made had improvements in the textures and graphics. They added multiplayer and various other upgrades. For the game's main storyline, Dr. Eggman invades a facility run by a military task force named Gun. With the use of a Chaos Emerald, he revitalizes a black hedgehog named Shadow. He asks Eggman to fetch him additional Chaos Emeralds and to meet him in the abandoned space colony, Ark. Sonic is captured by Gun when they mistake him for being Shadow, but he escapes from a Gun helicopter and is chased throughout a city. After a brief encounter with Shadow, Sonic is once more taken prisoner by Gun. Meanwhile, Knuckles clashes with expert treasure hunter Rouge the Bat over a Master Emerald. However, Eggman captures it, but Knuckles smashes the emerald into numerous pieces, which he manages to gather and rebuild. Rouge, who is secretly working for the government, travels to Ark and strikes a deal with Eggman and Shadow to get more emeralds for use in the Eclipse Cannon, a super weapon designed by Eggman's grandfather, who also created Shadow. Tails and Amy rescue Sonic from Gun's Island headquarters, while Shadow, Eggman, and Rouge collect 3 emeralds on the same island. Eggman uses the emeralds to power the Eclipse Cannon, which destroys half of the moon. On a global broadcast, he threatens the entire world that unless his demands are honored, he will destroy the Earth within 24 hours. It is now up to Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy to stop him. The gameplay is divided into 2 campaigns, Hero and Dark. Hero follows Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Dark follows Shadow, Eggman, and Rouge. The characters have levels that are the same as each other. Sonic and Shadow levels are fast-paced platformers. Tails and Eggman levels are slow-paced mech shoot-'em-ups. Knuckles and Rouge have treasure hunting levels with open environments and a radar system to discover 3 parts of a certain object. In addition to the main game mode, there's multiplayer and the Chow Garden. Beginning with the latter, the Chows are beings who first appeared in Sonic Adventure. They serve as virtual pets for the players to raise. During the main game, the player will encounter a Chow container. Inside, there is a Chow key that will allow the player access to the Chow world. Within the Chow world, there is Chow Garden and Chow Kindergarten. The garden is the main area where the player can home their Chow, feed them fruit, and give them chaos drives and small animals that will boost up their attributes, such as flight, power, swimming, stamina, and running speed. In the garden, there is a cave where the player may play as their Chow in Chow Race and Chow Karate. These mini-games are also available in multiplayer mode. In Chow Kindergarten, there's Black Market, a shop selling products such as fruit, seeds, hats, and eggs that hatch different colored Chows. Chow Classroom, where Chow learns to sing, dance, draw, and play instruments. The principal office is where the player may obtain advice on how to raise their Chow. The Health Center is where the Chow's health may be examined. And Fortune Telling House, where a psychic Chow gives the player's Chow a name. In multiplayer, there are 6 modes. Action Race, 2 players race to the finish line. Treasure Hunt, whoever finds pieces of a Master Emerald first wins. Shooting Battle. 2 players blast at one another until one player's life has run out. And finally, Kart Race, which was a level in the main campaign. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle received mixed to positive reception. Critics praised the upgraded graphics and gameplay, while some felt that it was a downgrade of the Dreamcast version. At the first week of its availability, Battle sold over 2.56 million copies. The legacy of Battle has led to fans seeing it in a more positive light. Furthermore, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle has the debut of Rouge and Shadow, the latter of whom received his own game spin-off, Shadow the Hedgehog, which was released in 2005 for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and the original Xbox. The game's storyline was adapted for the Sonic the Hedgehog live-action film series in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, released on December 10, 2024.
Resident Evil, more terrifying than ever, comes to Nintendo GameCube. Spine-chilling action, devastating weapons, unspeakable evil. Live the nightmare. Resident Evil, exclusively from Capcom. Rated M for mature, only on Nintendo GameCube.
Resident Evil is a remake of the original Resident Evil. The first game was released on the original PlayStation and was a commercial success and coined the term survival horror. It was created with the intent of being a remake of the Famicom game Sweet Home. Capcom, the studio behind Resident Evil, made an agreement with Nintendo to port previous and new games in the series to the GameCube. With this, the original game's developer, Shinji Mikami, felt the remake would help newcomers appreciate the game and address the localization problems in the original. Much like they did with the original, the developers used 3D models atop pre-rendered backgrounds for the environments, since creating them with computer graphics would cost too much in hardware. The backgrounds also featured particle effects, such as running water or tree branches, and the camera would track the player's movement at various angles. Other improvements include tweaks to the gameplay, a subplot cut from the original involving character Lisa Trevor, and the biggest addition, motion capture and new voice actors. The production lasted for a year and 2 months. The story of Resident Evil takes place in the fictional city of Raccoon City on July 24, 1998. Strange murders are happening, and the police department's Special Tactics and Rescue Service was called to investigate, but they disappeared. An alpha team, including Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Albert Wesker, and Barry Burton, is called to investigate the Bravo team's disappearance. They are attacked by dog-like creatures and take refuge in a mansion. Within the mansion, Chris and Jill discover it is home to an underground laboratory of the Umbrella Corporation, which was experimenting with a biological agent called the T-virus, and zombies are now roaming the mansion as a result. For the gameplay, the player can choose to play as Chris or Jill. Each character has their own abilities. Jill can carry more items and lockpick doors, and Chris can tolerate damage from enemies as well as give them damage. While exploring the mansion, the player must solve puzzles to gain access to new areas and battle enemies. If the player's health is compromised, they must find and combine herbs to heal themselves. To save the game, ink ribbons can be found and used in typewriters. Much like its original counterpart, the remake has a control scheme that has been titled Tank Controls. It is a system where the camera angles and controls will change. For example, pressing up on a controller will make a character move forward in the direction they faced, left and right for rotation, and pressing down will make the character walk backwards. Praise was given to the updated graphics, gameplay, and attention to suspense and tension. The game sold around 445,000 copies in the US and is considered one of the best video game remakes.
Bomberman Generation is the 19th installment in the Bomberman series. The first game was developed by Hudson Soft. It was released in Japan in 1983 for various home computers such as the MSX, NEC PC, Sharp MZ, and the Fujitsu FM. In 1985, it made its way to the Nintendo Entertainment System. In the following years, the Bomberman series has been on the Sega Saturn, Game Boy, TurboGrafx 16, Nintendo 64, and the original PlayStation. The gameplay of Generation has the player going through 6 worlds, with each having 5 levels. The levels have environmental puzzles the player would solve, battles with Pokemon-like creatures called Cherubombs, and mini-games such as the Bombgy Jump, where the goal is to jump into a moving log that is flowing down the river. Motor Bomber, where the player must ride the motor bomber while avoiding obstacles. Bomber Marathon is a race to the goal and avoid being crushed by a tumbling boulder. And finally, Rail Bomber, where the player will ride a rail lorry to reach the goal and take out obstacles on the way. With multiplayer, there is Standard Battle, where players can defeat each other by using bombs. In Reversi Battle, players must use bombs to flip the color panels that match their assigned color. Coin Battle has players breaking coin barrels to collect coins. Dodge Battle, where players must avoid falling bombs. Finally, Revenge Battle, in which players get points on how many moles they can take out with bombs. Bomberman Generation received a positive reception. Nintendo Power Magazine awarded it the title Most Underrated Game of 2002.
What is real? Is it the light? The emptiness? Your fear? The terror will consume you, and nothing will be what it seems. Eternal darkness, only for Nintendo GameCube, rated M for mature.
Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, was created by Silicon Knights. It was planned to be on the Nintendo 64, but the decision was made for it to be a GameCube exclusive. The story of Eternal Darkness takes place over different time periods and locations. In Rhode Island on 2000 AD, Alexandra Roivas heads to her family's estate after her grandfather, Edward Roivas, was murdered. Frustrated with the lack of progress with the local police, she investigates throughout the mansion and finds a book called Tome of Eternal Darkness. Reading the book, there are accounts of various individuals in the past who have encountered an ancient evil that seeks to spread eternal darkness to the world. With the gameplay, it consists of fighting monsters and solving puzzles to move on in a certain location. The player can attack in a general direction or target an enemy to focus on individual parts of the body. There are many classes of enemies that the player must defeat or avoid. Each class also comes in a few varieties, and there are subtle differences between them. The game has 12 playable characters from different time periods and different locations. Examples are Alexandra Roivas in Rhode Island, 2000 AD, as previously mentioned, Pius from ancient Persia in 26 BC, and Elia from 1150 AD. Each character has their own 3 major parameters: health, sanity, and magic, and they have access to a limited number of weapons. There are various pathways to choose in the plot, each with slight implications on gameplay in chapters and interlude intervals. Magic can be used by most characters and consists of spells that can damage opponents, protect and heal characters, and can be used to solve certain puzzles. All spells require the player to combine a series of runes to cast them. Another gameplay aspect is the sanity effects. A sanity meter will be provided to the player. This meter, when low, will influence the character's grip on reality. This can include a skewed camera angle, heads of statues moving their heads, and disturbing noises. Stronger effects include walls and ceilings bleeding, subtle changes to the environment, the character suddenly dying, and fourth wall breaking effects, such as faking a TV or game malfunction. At the time of its release, Eternal Darkness: Sanity's Requiem earned near universal critical praise, with high ratings on game rankings and Metacritic. It won awards like Outstanding Achievement in Character or Story Development at the 6th Annual Interactive Achievement Awards, presented by the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences in 2003.
The world a special place. Cherish life and never waste.
Everyone loves a sunshiny day. We're gonna keep it that way. That's clean is better than dirty, and dirty's meaner than clean.
Let's all lend a helping hand. Mario can't do it alone. He'll spray his water to fly around and clean the sludge that's on the ground.
Cause clean is better than dirty, and dirty's meaner than clean.
Super Mario Sunshine, only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
Super Mario Sunshine is the new entry after Super Mario 64. Following its success, Nintendo is ready to develop a sequel. It would have featured co-op with the second player as Luigi and the option to play as Yoshi. It would have been on the Nintendo 64 DD, a magnetic disc accessory available only in Japan. But because of the 64 DD's commercial failure, the sequel was cancelled. During Nintendo's Space World in 2000, the tech demo, Super Mario 128, was shown. The demo paved the way for Pikmin's mechanics, and many felt it would be the next installment in the Super Mario series. But the plan was scrapped, and development for a new Super Mario game began around late 2000. The game's director, Yoshiaki Koizumi, wanted to incorporate the idea of Mario using a water pump, which led to the creation of the Flood water pack. It was originally going to be a gun-like nozzle, but it was removed to avoid potential controversy in the United States. To create the hub of Isle Delfino, developers traveled to tropical islands in France and Italy and read travel brochures for inspiration. The hub world would have been populated with human NPCs, but was changed to the Piantas. Other cut content included various nozzles Flood would use, Yoshi and Mario spitting water from their mouths, a train traveling system that connected various areas of Delfino, multiplayer with Shadow Mario, and 5 world areas, including the final stage, each with different objectives for the player to complete.
Super Mario Sunshine! Woohoo!
The story of Sunshine finds Mario on vacation along with Princess Peach, Toadsworth, and other colored toads. Upon arriving at Isle Delfino, they come across a goopy slime-like graffiti and a water-spraying device called Flood, which helps Mario to clean it up. A mysterious Mario doppelganger frames Mario for polluting the entire island, which causes the source of power, the Shine Sprites, to disappear, and the island is covered in shadow as a result. The residents of Isle Delfino, the Piantas, sentence Mario to clean up the mess. Much of the gameplay is the same as Super Mario 64. Sunshine is a platform game in which the player controls Mario as they explore various worlds with distinct objectives. Once the objective is complete, the player will be rewarded with a Shine Sprite. By collecting Shine Sprites on every objective, more will be unlocked. In the main hub, Delfino Plaza, various worlds will be accessed as the player progresses through the gameplay. They can also buy Shine Sprites by collecting blue coins. With the Flood mechanic, the player can use its various nozzles for different purposes. The Squirt nozzle sprays water to clean up slime and fight slime-based enemies. The Rocket nozzle propels Mario into the air. The Hover nozzle allows Mario to hover for 5 seconds. And finally, the Turbo nozzle allows Mario to run at an incredible speed on land and sea. FLUDD will need to refill on water, which the player can do by entering water sources, like fountains and the sea. In addition, there are platform levels where FLUDD is taken away from Mario, and the use of Yoshi, who can eat fruit to fuel his juice, so he can spit it and dissolve orange wave-like obstacles. However, if Yoshi encounters a large body of water or runs out of juice, he will dissolve. Super Mario Sunshine would receive widespread praise from critics for the graphics, puzzles, music, and gameplay, although some fans took issue with the FLUDD mechanics. The game would go on to be one of the best-selling on GameCube, and on September 18, 2020, it was released in a compilation pack called Super Mario 3D All-Stars for the Nintendo Switch, which also includes Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Galaxy.
Ready for everyone. Spin, you little monkey, spin! Wow! Whoa! It's like a party, but it's better than a party. The monkey falls and keeps going and going. I go real fast. Vroom! I go real fast. Vroom! Falling. Just blast it off. Super duper. Super monkey blast too.
Super Monkey Ball 2 is the sequel to Super Monkey Ball. With this new installment, there are improvements as well as new additions. There is story mode, which follows Ai, Mimi, Baby, and Gongon as they fight Dr. Badboon to receive the bananas he had stolen from Monkey Island. In story mode, there are 10 worlds that each have 10 stages. The gameplay is similar to the main game from the first. However, there are unlimited lives for the player to continue with the stage. The more progression the player makes, the harder the stages will become. Challenge mode lets the player pick their difficulty, offering 2 lives and 3 continues. Collecting 100 bananas earns an extra life, and clearing stages without continues unlocks extra levels, including Beginner Extra, Advanced Extra, Expert Extra, and a Master Extra level. In addition, Challenge mode allows 4 players to play a stage one at a time, and more lives can be bought at the gift section with play points. The mini games section from the original is gone, replaced by party games. Monkey Race, Monkey Fight, Monkey Target, Monkey Billiards, Monkey Bowling, and Monkey Golf make a return with some upgrades. For example, Target allows 4 players to play together instead of taking turns. The new games are Monkey Tennis, Monkey Baseball, Monkey Soccer, Monkey Boat Race, Monkey Shot, and Monkey Dogfight. Much like the original, Super Monkey Ball 2 received positive reviews from game reviewers. IGN states, just as simple as the original, and also just as addictive. But where it's an entertaining single-player experience, it's a superb multiplayer one. All of the revamped minigames are fantastic. This is one of the best multiplayer games for GCN, without a doubt and hands down.
Here's a true story
of 4 friends picked to live in a video game
and find out what happens when they stop being themselves.
and start being someone else.
Animal Crossing for Nintendo GameCube.
A walrus moved into the village today. Hot.
I just been fishing, seeing some pals.
All Rob does is fish. Fish and see his pals. I'm the one getting the job, tending the
Welcome to Animal Crossing, the life game that's happening every minute of every day, whether you're playing or not.
Hey, it's called a lawnmower. Other people have to live here too,
Rated E for everyone.
Animal Crossing is an enhanced version of the Nintendo 64 game Dobutsu no Mori. The creator, Katsuya Eguchi, aimed to create a game with themes of community, friendship, and family. Assembling a team made up of Hisashi Nogami, Takashi Tezuka, and Kazumi Totaka. The team wanted Dobutsu no Mori to run on a real-time clock, and hoped that the 64DD would help utilize the mechanic. But since the 64DD was discontinued, the development of Dobutsu no More moved to the original N64 and would have a game pack cartridge, which included a real-time clock to run on real-world time and a controller pack for saving progress. Due to a lack of storage and time, the development team had to remove a few elements from the game. Dobutsu no More, or Animal Forest, was released on the N64 in Japan in April 2001. It is the last game Nintendo released for the Nintendo 64 and the third to last game released for the system in Japan. Its success led to Nintendo wanting to release an expansion port on the GameCube. The port would be called Dobutsu no More Plus and would feature extra content that was omitted from its original counterpart. It would utilize the GameCube's built-in clock system to track the time and date. With the sales of the game reaching up to 91,658 copies being sold in the first week in Japan alone, Nintendo began to localize it for the West. Animal Crossing's gameplay is a social simulation in which the player takes on the role of a new resident of a town populated by anthropomorphic animals. The gender and look of the player's character are determined by their replies to Rover, a cat they'll meet at the start of the game. Afterwards, they'll arrive in town and meet Tom Nook, a raccoon who owns the local store and will give the player an apartment and a job. There are also a variety of chores and objectives to complete by interacting with the town's citizens. The player can also visit Nook's store to buy and sell items, decorate their home, buy or design new outfits at the Able Sisters clothing shop, drop off mail, or deposit bells, the game's currency, to pay off the mortgage, and donate artwork, fish, fossils, and insects to the museum to be displayed. Whenever the player wants to stop the game, they can save their progress by talking to a gyroid, a machine that resides next to their house. Saving is a very vital part, as exiting the game without doing so will result in loss of progress. The game takes advantage of the GameCube's internal clock system to track days, weeks, months, and years, so every day plays out in real time, and holidays like Christmas and Halloween will occur as they do in real life. There's also a traveling system where the player can visit other towns by placing a friend's memory card of Animal Crossing into slot B of the GameCube. Animal Crossing was met with critical and commercial success, domestically and internationally. The Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences nominated it for Console Game of the Year, Console Role-Playing Game of the Year, Innovation in Console Gaming, Outstanding Achievement in Game Design, and Outstanding Achievement in Gameplay Engineering, and awarded it the Innovation in Console Gaming, Outstanding Achievement in Game Design, and Console Role-Playing Game of the Year. The Strong National Museum of Play placed it in the World Video Game Hall of Fame in 2021. Animal Crossing has generated a beloved series of games, the most recent of which, at the time of this video, is New Horizons on the Nintendo Switch, released on March 20, 2020, and had an enhanced version released on the Nintendo Switch 2 on January 15, 2026.
A planet that only knows fear needs a hero that has none. Star Fox Adventures, only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated T for Teen.
Star Fox Adventures is a new entry in the Star Fox series. The original Star Fox was released on the Super Nintendo on March 26, 1993. It was a 3D aerial rail shooter that took advantage of polygonal graphics thanks to a Super FX graphics chip in the cartridge. The sequel, Star Fox 2, would have been released in 1995, but around that time, the original PlayStation and the Sega Saturn were demonstrating the capabilities of 3D graphics. and many felt that this would be the future of games. Star Fox 2 was shelved, but managed to be officially released on the Super NES Classic Edition in 2017 and is available on the Nintendo Switch online service. After the cancellation of the sequel, the team behind it worked their efforts on making Star Fox 64, which was released on the Nintendo 64 on June 30, 1997. Around this time, the development company Rare was creating a new IP called Dinosaur Planet. Its development started after the release of Diddy Kong Racing. Dinosaur Planet would revolve around Saber the Wolf and Crystal the Fox. Shigeru Miyamoto looked at the game's content and noticed that it bears a resemblance to the Star Fox series due to the anthropomorphic characters. It was then that both Nintendo and Rare agreed to change the project into a Star Fox title called Star Fox: Dinosaur Planet. The Saber character was changed to Fox, and the project was soon made into a launch title for the GameCube. Around its release, Rare was bought by Microsoft to make games for the original Xbox, ending the association between Rare and Nintendo. The story takes place on the planet Serenia, where it's in danger of being ripped apart by the tyrannical General Scales and his Sharp Claw Legion. Crystal, the planet's only survivor, sends out a distress signal. General Pepper contacts the Star Fox team to investigate. Fox encounters the Queen Earthwalker, who tells him that Scales stole 4 spell stones, which places the planet in danger. She tells Fox to meet the Warp Stone and rescue her son, Prince Tricky, at Ice Mountain. After Fox rescues Tricky, he becomes Fox's sidekick. Armed with Crystal's staff, Fox must save Serenia. The gameplay departs from the 3D rail shooter of the previous Star Fox titles and goes for a linear action-adventure approach similar to the Legend of Zelda series. The player controls Fox McCloud as they explore the planet Serenia to find 4 Spellstones and the Kuriosa spirits, and return to Kuriosa Palace to save Dinosaur Planet. Fox is equipped with a staff that acts as a weapon and tool for exploration. The staff can be upgraded with powers that aid in combat and puzzle solving. Within the levels, the player will find scarabs. They can be used to buy healing goods, new equipment, and maps of the different locales. The second game mode is R-Wing mode, which works similarly to other Star Fox games. After choosing a location, the player will enter an orbital phase where they dodge obstacles as they shoot down enemies, have a chance to soar through the silver ring to regenerate health, and use super bombs to take out hordes of enemies. Fans and game journalists gave Star Fox Adventures mixed to mainly good reviews, with some believing that its departure from prior Star Fox titles to a Zelda-like style gameplay made it feel like it wasn't a real Star Fox game. GameSpot named Star Fox Adventures the second best GameCube game of September 2002. It also sold more than 1.82 million copies.
Get ready for eye-popping, jaw-dropping GameCube action with Mario Party 4, where good friends go at it, live and uncensored. With Tag Match Battle Mode, 4 players pair up in a battle royale of 50 mini-games, played at the corner of madness and mayhem. Mario Party 4. Because it's not a party until something gets broken. Only on Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
Mario Party 4 is the 4th installment of the Mario Party series, and the first on the GameCube. The original series started on the Nintendo 64. The gameplay of a Mario Party title is that there's Party Mode. In Party Mode, 4 players are on a game board where they take turns rolling a dice block, 1 to 10, leading to how many spaces they'll move on the board. After the players have taken their turns, a random mini-game will follow, and the winner will receive coins. The coins can be used to purchase items, pass through gates, use Boo Ghosts to take coins from other players, play the lottery to win coins or items, and purchase stars. The player with the most stars wins. Items can be purchased from the item shop or landing on mushroom patches. Mega Mushrooms turns players into giants, allowing them to roll 2 sets of dice blocks and crush enemy players with coins. Mini Mushrooms shrink players and can allow them passage through small pipes. Various types of spaces are scattered throughout a board with each effect. Blue spaces give a player 3 coins. Red spaces will take 3 coins from a player. Happening spaces would activate a positive or negative effect, and battle stages would activate a battle minigame. The playable characters are Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Yoshi, Wario, Donkey Kong, Princess Daisy, and Waluigi. The minigames are divided into 7 categories: 4-player, story, 2 vs 2, battle, Bowser, 1 vs 3, and etc. Manta Rings. Players will swim through as many rings as they can to earn points, with golden rings worth more. Whoever has the most points wins. Book Squirm. Players must move on a book with falling pages that have shaped holes. The player who's the last standing without being flattened wins. Stamp Out. Players are given a large stamp where they must put their assigned color on a canvas floor. The one who shows the most color is the winner. Cliffhangers. Players must climb up a snowy mountain. While climbing, strong winds will attempt to blow the players off, so they must hold on to the mountain. Otherwise, they will fall down. Candlelight Flight. Set in a dark room, the solo player is equipped with a candle, and the 3-player team are equipped with water guns. If the solo player can keep the candle lit and avoid the team, they will win. Hop or Pop. While inside a spiked ball, the solo player must run around a stadium to pop the team player's bubble. The team can jump around to avoid the solo player. Trace Race. Each player has a giant crayon and a long path that they must trace. The winner depends on the accuracy of the trace. Mario Party 4 received mostly mixed to positive reviews from game critics. Praise was given to the graphical improvements, the multiplayer, and the variety of minigames. But some felt that this new entry may not be able to bring back players who were burned out by the previous Mario Party games. Story mode was also criticized for its slow pace. The game won the award for Family Game of the Year at the 2003 Interactive Achievement Awards. It sold over 1 million copies from its release to December 27, 2007 in North America, and an additional 902,827 copies in Japan. Sonic Mega Collection is a game compilation created by Sonic Team. The game's director, Yujiro Ogawa, wanted to make a game compilation that would introduce young kids to the Sonic series during its run with the Genesis. To make emulators of the games, Sonic Team gained the help of publisher VR1 Japan. Sonic CD was intended to be on Mega Collection, but was dropped due to storage issues. Mega Collection includes the titles Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Sonic & Knuckles, Sonic 3D Blast, Sonic Spinball, and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. There are also unlockable games such as Blue Sphere, Knuckles and Sonic 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Flicky, and Rystar. The reviews were positive, praising the quality of the game's controls and the conversion of the older games. Mega Collection would have an updated version with Sonic Mega Collection Plus, released on PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox, which includes 6 games for the Sega Game Gear.
The cold silence of space only punctuates the feeling of death that emanates from this virtually lifeless planet. Only one thing is alive and well here. Evil. And it must be destroyed, decimated, exterminated.
Metroid Prime is a new installment in the Metroid series. The original NES game was released on August 6, 1986. It was praised for its gameplay, music, and levels. It also has special significance as one of the first games at the time to feature a female protagonist, Samus Aran. Afterwards, a sequel, Metroid 2: Return of Samus, was released on the Game Boy. Fast forward to the Super Nintendo era, and Super Metroid was released. It is cited not only as the best game ever made, but also as the best in the Super Nintendo library. The legacy of Super Metroid gave birth to the term Metroidvania, a mix of Metroid's labyrinth-like levels and the Castlevania games, with the most notable game in that definition being Castlevania Symphony of the Night. During the Nintendo 64 era, no Metroid game was developed. Shigeru Miyamoto stated that no one could come up with ideas that would be appealing. On September 21, 1998, Jeff Spangenberg, founder of Iguana Entertainment, formed an alliance with Nintendo to develop mature-rated games. This led to the creation of Retro Studios. While they were working on GameCube projects, Miyamoto visited Retro in 2000 and saw a prototype of an action-adventure game. He saw its potential and requested that a Metroid game be made with the engine, leading Retro to cancel their other projects and focus on this one work. The staff worked long hours to meet their deadline during development, and at one point, the game was planned to be in third person, but there were camera issues. Thanks to Miyamoto's heavy involvement behind the scenes, he had suggested that the camera would be better in a first-person perspective. The story of Prime is set between Metroid and Metroid 2. Samus Aran detects a distress signal from the space pirate frigate Orpheon, whose crew has been slaughtered by the pirates' own genetically engineered experimental subjects. She fights the Parasite Queen, a massive version of the ship's small parasites, at the ship's reactor core, and the Queen falls into it, causing an explosion. While escaping the frigate, Samus encounters Meta Ridley, a cybernetic version of Ridley that damages Samus' suit. She follows Meta Ridley to the planet Talon 4. Prime's gameplay focuses on exploration. The player will travel through Talon 4 to find 12 Chozo artifacts that will open the path to the Phazon Meteor Impact Crater. While exploring, the player will come across power-ups, weapons, and armor upgrades. For the suits, there's the Various suit, which can create a shield in Samus' armor to protect her from severe heat in the volcanic zones. The Gravity suit allows for underwater exploration. And finally, the Phazon suit, which is the most powerful suit, but can only be accessed at the end of the game. The power-ups include the Morph Ball, which lets Samus roll into tight spaces and drop energy bombs, and the Grappling Beam, which functions similarly to a grappling hook by latching onto specific hooks known as grapple nodes, which allows Samus to swing over gaps. The game's first-person POV gives access to the heads-up display on Samus' helmet, which includes a radar monitor, a map, a missile ammunition meter, and a health meter for Samus. It also includes thermal imaging, X-ray vision, and a scan visor, an important function that lets the player scan the surroundings for clues and information. It can also hack computer terminals and activate elevators. Metroid Prime received strong reviews from critics. Praise was given to the graphics, level design, gameplay, the use of the first-person view, and how it elevates the classic Metroid style to a new era. It became one of the best-selling games on the GameCube, with 2.84 million copies sold, and was also the best second-selling game in November 2002, behind Grand Theft Auto: Vice City. The success of Metroid Prime led to 3 sequels, with the recent one, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, released on December 4, 2025, for the Switch and Switch 2.
Much like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle being a port of its Dreamcast counterpart, Skies of Arcadia Legends is a port of the original Skies of Arcadia from the Dreamcast. Its development started in 1999 under the name Project Ares, with the intent of being on the Sega Saturn, but was changed to be a Dreamcast launch. With a new title, Eternal Arcadia, it was released in Japan on October 5th, 2000, when it was localized for the West. The game's original Japanese name was changed from Eternal Arcadia to Skies of Arcadia. Skies of Arcadia was released in North America on November 13th, 2000 on Dreamcast. In October 2001, after Sega became a third-party developer, they announced the release of Skies of Arcadia for the GameCube and PlayStation 2. With a Sega development team called Overworks and US developer Point of View Software working together on the project, the development lasted throughout 2002. In August, the PS2 port was cancelled in favor of focusing on the GameCube port, which has improved graphics, new side missions, and a wanted list to find enemies. For the story, the game is set in the world of Arcadia, where 6 civilizations coexist on floating continents circling 6 colorful moons. The Valuan Empire, led by Empress Theodora, rules the skies and seeks to find the moon crystals in order to resurrect the Gigas and take over the planet. Vise and Ica, who are members of the Blue Rogues, a group of Robin Hood-minded air pirates that fight against the Valuan Empire, team up with Fina, a member of the Silver Civilization, who is sent to recover the moon crystals before the Empire gets their hands on them first. For the gameplay, it's an RPG where the player engages enemies in turn-based battles to earn experience points, making their characters stronger. The overworld is divided into 6 regions, traversed by flying airships in 3D space. Discoveries and hidden locations reward the player with extra benefits. The world map starts out blank, and it is up to the player to chart the map through exploration. The player may also recruit characters they encounter in exploration, allowing them to be placed on the ship's or base's staff, adding extra benefits to exploration or battle. Exploration happens on foot while moored on land masses or warships. The game's gameplay alternates between touring towns and going through dungeons. Cities are invited to purchase equipment and engage with NPCs in order to advance the plot. The dungeons take the style of a maze, with the player leading the protagonist around it to gather useful things in treasure chests while engaging in random combat with adversaries. Getting to the end of the maze usually results in a last boss encounter that must be conquered before departing. The fight system entails maintaining spirit points, magic points, and a multicolored moonstone system. For the reception, Skies of Arcadia Legends gathered positive reviews, although much of it was less than compared to its Dreamcast counterpart. In a review from GameZone, they said, "The main problem with this game is that it feels a little dated, especially when you compare it to Final Fantasy X or other games coming out shortly. Other than that, it is a great game."
The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Master Quest is a remixed version of the original Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time was a massive critical and commercial success on the Nintendo 64 and is considered one of the best video games made. When it was finished completion, Nintendo got started on developing a new challenging version of Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64 DD. Under the title Eura Zelda, its intentions were to add in new content and elements that couldn't be in the original game due to time and storage constraints. However, the 64 DD was a commercial failure in Japan, and Eura Zelda was put on hold. It was then reworked to be a GameCube exclusive. The gameplay of Master Quest is the same as Ocarina of Time, only with a harder difficulty setting. It received mostly positive reviews.
In the land of Hyrule, the wind echoes a legend that tells of a boy who became a man. He traveled to the ends of the earth challenging the forces of nature, testing the limits of his will, all to fulfill his destiny, which is, above all else, to save me.
The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. Rated E for everyone.
The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, is the 10th installment in the Legend of Zelda series. Its development started before the release of Majora's Mask. Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka acted as producers, and Majora's Mask director Eiji Aonuma returned to head the project. In Nintendo Space World 2000, a 15-second video of Link fighting Ganondorf was shown to announce that a new Legend of Zelda game was being made. The team behind Wind Waker fell into a creative slump as they didn't know where to take the series. While brainstorming ideas, designer Yoshiki Haruhana presented a cartoonish drawing of a young Link. Soon after, Satoru Takazawa drew up an enemy moblin in the same style. This sparked the team's creativity as they took the cartoon aesthetic to make the graphics a cel-shaded style. Cel shading is a non-photorealistic rendering technique in computer graphics that produces a 3D object or scene that seems flat and resembles the visual style of conventional animation or comic book art. At the 2001 Space World, a demo clip of the game was presented that received polarized reactions. Some were disappointed by its look because it didn't resemble the realistic Zelda of the 2000 trailer. Critics dubbed the game Zelda. Miyamoto also had an issue with the design, feeling that the game wouldn't sell. He told the team that it was not too late to change course to make a realistic Zelda, but the team stuck to their guns to stay with the cel style, and Miyamoto eventually accepted it. At E3 2002, Miyamoto presented a playable demo, which received a more positive reception from the audience. As development continued through late 2002, there were elements that didn't make the final cut, such as Link aging in real time like he did in the Ocarina of Time, an explorable Hyrule, a few dungeons, water boots, and sneaking mechanics. For the story of The Wind Waker, it's set in a parallel timeline following the events of Ocarina of Time, where adult Link travels back in time to his childhood after defeating Ganon. However, a crisis occurs when Ganon returns and Link is not present to stop him, leading to a world where people live on islands surrounded by a great sea. While celebrating his birthday, Link saves a pirate captain named Tetra from a gigantic bird that then kidnaps his sister Aryll. Tetra and her pirate crew helps Link find Aryll in the Forsaken Fortress, where she has been held captive. Link finds her there along with other girls who have been kidnapped, but he is captured by the Helmarock King and thrown into the sea. A talking sailboat named the King of Red Lions saves Link and explains that the bird's master is Ganon. In order to defeat Ganon, Link must find the Hero of Time's weapon, the Master Sword. Wind Waker's gameplay has the player controlling Link as they travel through the open world of the Great Sea of Hyrule, with 49 islands scattered across it. Within the islands, there are dungeons to explore to solve puzzles, fight enemies and bosses, and find items and weapons. In addition, there are side quests that can be optionally completed. For traveling, Link uses the King of Red Lions to sail through the Great Sea. It features enemies and treasure to find using a grappling hook. There's a map called the Sea Chart that updates every island the player comes across. The Wind Waker, a magical baton that the King of Red Lions gives to Link to control the wind and harness other powers by conducting specific melodies. The most distinguishing melody is the Wind's Requiem, which changes the wind's direction to where the player wishes to sail. The other melodies, like Song of Passing, can change from day to night and vice versa, and Ballad of Gales, which can teleport the player to one of several islands on the Great Sea. The Wind Waker received widespread critical acclaim. Metacritic awarded it 96 out of 100. It gained high scores from gaming magazines like Computer and Video Games, Game Informer, Game Pro, and Nintendo Power. Everything from the graphics, camera control, gameplay, and music was praised. It sold over 4.43 million copies, which was less than the Ocarina of Time. Nintendo of America felt the cel-shaded graphics were the reason for it, as it alienated older Zelda fans. However, as the years passed, fans who were dismissive of the graphics at first now viewed it as one of the best Zelda games, if not one of their favorite Zelda games. It received 2 sequels on the Nintendo DS, Phantom Hourglass, released in 2007, and Spirit Tracks, released in 2009. The variant of the Link character from Wind Waker, named Toon Link, was featured in the following 2D Zelda games: Four Swords Adventures, The Minish Cap, and Triforce Heroes. Toon Link has also been a Super Smash Bros. Character, ever since his debut in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. In 2013, an HD remaster was released for the Wii U. Mega Man Network Transmission is a spin-off of the Mega Man Battle Network series that started on the Game Boy Advance. The development started because they wanted to focus their efforts on making Mega Man games for the GameCube. Much like the Wind Waker, Network Transmission uses cel-shaded graphics to match the Mega Man NT Warrior anime, which was airing in Japan during the game's inception. Network Transmission was announced and showcased at the Tokyo Game Show in September 2002. The gameplay of Network Transmission has elements of the action platforming of the original Mega Man series, while integrating real-time strategy and role-playing mechanics. The player controls the character Lon Hikari in the real world, and his online avatar, megaman.exe, on the internet. A custom bar that gradually fills at the top of the screen provides special skills known as battle chips. The player can choose up to 5 battle chips, which come from a folder of chips they've chosen when the bar is full. Once that happens, 10 random chips become accessible. A maximum of 20 chips can be spent for each level trip. Battle chips may be used to call other Navis to assist Mega Man, deliver massive damage to foes, shield and replenish the player's health, and perform certain platforming tasks. Certain chips can even be combined to increase efficiency. Reviews for Mega Man Network Transmission were mixed. Critics believe that the game's difficulty is imbalanced, with the most challenging sections occurring early on, notably during boss battles. The battle chips mechanics were also mixed, as some felt the random shuffling of chips in inventory was frustrating.
Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut is a port of Sonic Adventure. In 1994, Sega Technical Institute began developing Sonic X-treme, an exclusive launch title for the Sega Saturn. With games at the time running ship to a 3D world space, Sonic X-treme would be the first 3D game in the series. However, due to a series of setbacks, including development problems and negative reception from Sega executives, X-treme was canceled in 1996. Without a main Sonic title for the Sega Saturn, many felt that it was one of the major factors why the console became a commercial flop. Granted, there were Sonic games on the Saturn like Sonic R and Sonic Jam, but the former is a racing game developed by a collaboration of Traveler's Tales and Sonic Team. The latter is a compilation of Sonic games from the Genesis. Meanwhile, Sonic Team was making original games like Nights into Dreams. Following that, they got to work on a new Sonic project emphasizing a role-playing style of gameplay and story. Development began in July 1997 with over 100 developers behind the project, with it being an exclusive for the upcoming Sega console, the Dreamcast. Sonic Team traveled to various countries such as Cancun, Guatemala, and Peru to get ideas for the game's locations, taking video footage and hundreds of images. One element that became memorable during their trip was seeing sandboarding in Ica, Peru. This element would become a level for Tails. With a new hardware and detail graphics, the developers redesigned the characters to fit within the modern, cool aesthetic. Sega artist Yuji Yukawa took inspiration from graffiti art, Disney animation, and Looney Tunes when it came to the design of Sonic. He gave him green eyes, longer quills, a darker blue color, and a tall, slimmer build. As the game was focusing on the storytelling aspect, the team created a hub station that would allow for exploration. Another addition was a virtual pet system akin to the A-Life in Nights into Dreams. Sonic Adventure was released on December 23, 1998 in Japan and on September 9, 1999 in North America. It garnered positive feedback and quickly became the Dreamcast's best-selling title. Sega said in 2001 that due to the failure of the Saturn and Dreamcast, it would become a third-party publisher. Following the port of Sonic Adventure 2 to the GameCube, the port of Sonic Adventure 1 features upgraded textures and detailed character models in the graphics, a better frame rate, 60 additional missions, and Metal Sonic, which can be unlocked as a playable character if all 130 emblems are gathered. For the game's plot, Dr. Eggman learns about an entity called Chaos, who aided in defending the Chao and the all-powerful Master Emerald. Sonic and Tails must now embark on an adventure to secure the 7 Chaos Emeralds and learn about the mysterious legend of Chaos as Eggman seeks to use it and the Emeralds for his own game. The gameplay has the player taking control of Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, E102 Gamma, and Big the Cat, each with their own gameplay and story perspective. The player will travel in free-form hub environments called Adventure Hubs, which are access to a character's action stage. Sonic's action stages are fast-paced platformer with spin dash and homing attack as abilities. Tails races against Sonic. Knuckles uses a radar system to find 3 emerald shards. Amy has to solve riddles while avoiding being apprehended by a robot. Gamma has to fire his way through stages, while Big must fish for his beloved frog. The virtual pet element mentioned before takes the form of the Chows, mystical creatures that play a vital role in the game's story. The player can take care of Chows in the Chow Garden by feeding them fruit and giving them small animals, which are obtained by fighting enemies in the action stages to improve their abilities. The player's Chow can compete against CPUs in Chow Race as well. Outside of the main campaign, there is Trial Mode, which allows for playing the action stages and minigames like rail shooting, racing, and sandboarding. Mission Mode, which once unlocked, gives access to play completed action stages. Minigame Collection, which is unlockable, has access to past Sonic games like Sonic Drift, Sonic Drift 2, Sonic Chaos, Tails Sky Patrol, Tails Adventure, Sonic Blast, Sonic the Hedgehog Triple Trouble, Sonic Labyrinth, and 8-bit versions of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut received mixed reviews. The camera setup, collision detection, frame rate issues, dialogue, and voice acting all received criticism. While praise was given to the extra features, DX is considered inferior when compared to its Dreamcast counterpart. DX was re-released as a downloadable game with a high-definition upgrade for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 in September 2010.
Greed is good. Greed makes you do great things. Greed makes you do great things. Greed loves old people. Greed loves old people. Gold coins and puppies. Gold coins and puppies. It will get you everything. It'll get you everything? Even if you have to pile drive your enemy to do so. Even if you have to pile drive your enemies to do so. Get ready for some real greed. Rated E for everyone. Change you.
Wario World is a spin-off of the Wario series. Wario's first appeared in Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins for the Game Boy. He was created to be the game's villain and served as its final boss. When Wario Land Super Mario Land 3 was released on March 14, 1994 for the Game Boy, he became an anti-hero. This started the Wario Land series. Wario World was shown at E3 2002 as a technical demo. At the next E3 in 2003, another demo was shown with more polish in its gameplay. In the plot of Wario World, Wario is seen lounging in his new castle with his collection of artifacts that he's gathered from his past adventures. One of the treasures, a black gem, transforms the others into monsters and exiles Wario from his palace. He must now gather all of his loot and defeat the black gem. The gameplay is a platformer in the spirit of the Super Mario series, with beat-em-up and puzzle components thrown in for good measure. The player begins in the courtyard of Treasure Square. a hub with 4 distinct worlds: Thrillsville, Sparkle Land, Excitement Central, and Spooktastic World. There are 2 levels in each area. To advance, the player must acquire a set quantity of red diamonds from each level, as well as 8 treasure chests, 8 pieces of golden statues, and defeat the world monster. With the combat, Wario can spin enemies around, throw them, and slam their heads on the ground. Additionally, the player can gather coins from fallen enemies and use them to continue levels even if they die, by purchasing garlic from a vendor, which restores health. While receiving criticism for its brief length, Wario World's gameplay has received generally excellent reviews. It was also a financial success, selling more than 256,000 copies in the US and more than 142,000 copies in Japan.
Did you see my ball? Right there. Where? I don't see it, man. I think it's correlated or
There you
something.
go. Point right at it.
Oh, that's not my ball.
Got your name on it. Shermer.
No, that's not my.
Hit your ball.
I can't go in there, man. I won't go in there. No, sir.
Chain chomps, warp pipes, and more. There's lots to avoid in Mario Golf Toadstool Tour. It's only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
Mario Golf Toadstool Tour is the sequel to Mario Golf from the N64 and the 3rd installment in the Mario Golf series published by Camelot Software Planning. The gameplay acts as a golf game with a Mario theme. A power meter is used to swing the ball through the golf course within a few strokes. Pressing the A button charges the power, and pressing A again releases it. The player calculates power by timing the press of a button until a marker on the power meter stops at the desired point. For manual swing, the player presses the B button and then presses the A or B button to move to the meter marker. The playable characters are Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Koopa, Yoshi, Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong, Bowser, Waluigi, Wario, and Birdo. Shadow Mario, Boo, Petey Piranha, and Bowser Jr. are unlockable characters. Game modes include a tournament mode, in which the player competes for first place in an 18-hole round of golf and best badges on individual holes, character match, which is a player versus CPU match, ring shot, where the player will hit their shots through rings on the course, speed golf, in which a round of golf must be completed the fastest, and doubles, a 2-on-2 game of golf for multiplayer. There are also side games such as Birdie Challenge and Practice Mode. While Mario Golf Toadstool Tour received praise for its aesthetics and courses, it also drew some criticism for not improving upon its predecessor.
Customize your own machine and race through 20 gravity-defying courses at ridiculous speeds. F-Zero GX. The future of racing is in your hands. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated T for Teen. GameCube.
F-Zero GX is the 5th installment in the F-Zero series. The first game, F-Zero, was a launch title for the SNES. The first in the subgenre futuristic racing, F-Zero was praised for its graphics, high speed, and difficult gameplay. In addition, it was the debut of Captain Falcon, the series mascot, who was a prominent character in the Super Smash Bros. Series. Following that, the sequel F-Zero X was released for the Nintendo 64 on October 26, 1998, and F-Zero Maximum Velocity for the Game Boy Advance was released on June 11, 2001. The development of GX started on February 18, 2002, when Nintendo made an announcement for Triforce. an arcade system board created by a collaboration between Nintendo, Namco, and Sega, who were building a relationship with Nintendo around this time. The purpose of Triforce was to create a less expensive development environment for the high-cost arcade sector and use GameCube technology to make arcade games. In March 2002, Amusement Vision and Nintendo started to work together to produce F-Zero video games for the Triforce and GameCube. Shigeru Miyamoto and Toshiro Nagoshi, the creator of Super Monkey Ball, served as producers. GX would have featured a multiplayer mode with an online connection, but it was dropped because the development team wanted to focus more on the single-player elements. In addition, the engine for GX is an enhanced version of the first Super Monkey Ball. The gameplay for F-Zero GX has the player racing 29 competitors in an interplanetary Grand Prix on plasma-powered machines. Each machine has a distinct handling style, as well as performance and durability characteristics that are impacted by weight, grip, and boost, and are classified from A to E, best to worst. The user can alter a vehicle's balance between maximum acceleration and maximum top speed before a race. An energy meter acts as the machine's health and is diminished by mishaps or assaults from rival competitors. By entering a pit area, the machine's energy will be regained. After completing the first lap of a race, the meter can be used as boost power. In the main racing mode, Grand Prix, the player competes in races against opponents over 3 laps of each track. Each of the 4 cups, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, and Diamond, has 5 tracks, and there are 4 difficulty settings: Novice, Standard, Expert, and Master. The multiplayer mode allows 2 to 4 players to compete against one another. Time Attack allows the user to select any track and complete it in a specified amount of time. In customization mode, there is F-Zero Shop, Garage, and Emblem Editor. The F-Zero Shop is where the player can buy characters, custom machine parts, staff ghost data, and chapters for the story mode. The Garage allows for the customization of an original machine in terms of its body, cockpit, and booster. All of these are rated on a scale from A to E. Emblem Editor lets the player create emblems for their machine. Story mode has the player controlling Captain Falcon in 9 chapters of various racing situations. Practice mode allows for practicing on whatever courses the player chooses. The arcade cabinet counterpart of GX, F-Zero AX, has the same gameplay and a special bonus feature. By having a GameCube memory card with saved data for GX and placing it in the slot of AX will unlock extra tracks, characters, and machines to be played on GX. F-Zero GX was widely acclaimed. It was named Best Racing Game of 2003 by IGN, Best GameCube Driving Game of 2003 by GameSpot, nominated for Console Racing Game of the Year at the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences 7th Annual Interactive Achievements Award, and the 92nd best game available on Nintendo platforms, according to official Nintendo magazine.
PN03, or Product Number 3, is another original IP made by Capcom as part of the Capcom 5. With Resident Evil creator Shinji Mikami acting as director, his goal was to make a game that evoked the same feelings as classic Nintendo games. Within development, the original concept was a war game with robots. However, Mikami was unsatisfied with this direction and reworked the project as a third-person shooter. Early versions had the main character Vanessa using guns, but the developers couldn't complete the animation graphics in time for the game's release, so they instead designed the character to shoot out energy bolts. The gameplay has the player controlling Vanessa Z. Schneider, a freelance mercenary working on colonized planets. Using her Aegis suits, she can fire energy bolts from her hands and perform powerful attacks called energy drives. They can fire homing attacks and energy beams, allowing temporary invulnerability. After finishing a level, the player can spend points from defeating enemies to purchase Aegis suits, suit upgrades, energy drives, and level continues. Trial missions can be played later in the game to earn more points for upgrades. Reviews for PN03 were both positive and mixed. Critics praised the unique style and controls, but felt the gameplay was shallow and repetitive, with limited plot and character development. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg is a new game developed by Sonic Team. The president of Sonic Team, Yuji Naka, who was the producer of the game, said in an interview with IGN on why eggs were chosen as the focus of the game. He said, quote, "If you think about it, most action games up until now have been about one character running around in the world doing everything. I wanted a different style of action we could focus on. With eggs, we felt that there is this obligation you have for caring for the egg and joy you get from hatching it. Initially, we tried some different experiments with oblong-shaped eggs, but found that too limiting for the player. Also, because you don't know what's going to come out of eggs, it gives you this feeling of anticipation as you play," unquote. For the story, the fantasy world of Morningland, populated by anthropomorphic chickens, has been attacked by Dark Raven and his army of crows, creating an eternal darkness across the land. In the human world, Billy Hatcher and his friends save a baby chicken from a crow, leading them to be transported to Morningland. A deity that watches over Morningland, named Minifuni, informs Billy that the crows are setting their sights on conquering the human world next. To stop them and free Morningland, Billy is equipped with a legendary chicken suit and must free the 6 chicken elders who are imprisoned in golden eggs by the crows. The gameplay is a 3D platformer where the player controls Billy as he grows and hatches eggs. There are 72 eggs to hatch, and they grow over time as the player rolls them around and uses them to fight enemies, perform techniques like egg dunking, slamming, dashing, and shooting. The game allows 1 egg at a time, and they can grow as the player collects fruit. Once the egg reaches a maximum size, Billy will perform a rooster call, and the egg will release a power-up or an animal helper with special abilities that can aid the player. The eggs can be damaged by enemies and the environment. If an egg takes enough damage, it will be destroyed. They will respawn where the player originally found them. The campaign is organized into 7 worlds, each representing an area of Morningland, and has 8 missions. Each quest grants an emblem of courage that is needed to defeat Dark Raven. Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg gathered mixed to average reviews, with critics praising the graphics and gameplay, but being quite critical of the camera and simple plot.
Lights, camera, beautiful! Ordinary Dude Joe is sucked into an action movie and transformed into a super cool celluloid hero. Welcome to the way out world of Beautiful Joe. Use your awesome VFX power to obliterate evildoers. Zoom in, slow, max speed. What challenges await him? Will he have the strength to save the world? Don't miss a single frame of Beautiful Joe. Rated T for teen. Tension to go-go, baby. GameCube.
Beautiful Joe was developed by Capcom Production Studio 4. It was announced in late 2002 as one of the Capcom 5, a lineup of then 5 upcoming GameCube titles that would be exclusive to the system. Nintendo and Capcom had a good working connection because of the success of the Mega Man series. Capcom designer Hideki Kiyama, who worked on Resident Evil, wanted Beautiful Joe to emulate American comic books and Japanese tokusatsu, a genre that heavily relies on practical special effects, with examples like Ultraman and Super Sentai, the latter in which Western audiences know as Power Rangers. The development process began with 6 individuals working on a 12-month deadline. As time went on, more people joined the team, and it ultimately took 21 months to make. For the story, the game's central character, Joe, along with his girlfriend Sylvia, go to see a tokusatsu film starring the superhero Captain Blue. The film's villain grabs Sylvia out of the film and drags her into Movieland. Joe enters the film, where he encounters Captain Blue, who gives him his V-Watch, which allows Joe to turn into a superhero. He now must rescue Sylvia and defeat the villainous organization called Jado. The gameplay is a side-scrolling beat-em-up, where the player controls Joe to fight enemies with combat and the beautiful effects powers. The first VFX power is Slow, which slows time, increasing the potency of strikes, improving Joe's reflexes, and allowing assault to be deflected. The second VFX power, Mach Speed, allows Joe to move quicker, resulting in several after images of him when he unleashes a volley of attacks on all enemies on the screen. It can also envelop Joe in a temporary heat shield, making him impervious to flame attacks and igniting opponents when hit. The final VFX power, Zoom In, creates a close-up of Joe, amplifying his attacks, providing him with a set of additional attacks, and paralyzing any weaker foes. Any two of the VFX powers can be combined, like Mach Speed and Zoom, Slow and Zoom, or Slow and Mach Speed. V-points, which can be collected throughout the levels, can be used to purchase upgrades like extra lives and a longer life meter, as well as attacks that utilize a boomerang and bombs. Reviews for Beautiful Joe were strongly positive. Game Informer praised the game as a completely original and highly entertaining work of art. The gaming website IGN named it GameCube Game of the Year and Best Action Game of 2003. The success of Beautiful Joe led to it getting a PlayStation 2 port on August 24, 2004. That same year, the sequel, Beautiful Joe 2, was released for GameCube and PlayStation 2 respectively. Two spin-offs, Beautiful Joe Red Hot Rumble for the PSP and GameCube, and Beautiful Joe Double Trouble for the Nintendo DS, were released the following years. And in 2006, an anime series adaptation was screened on Kids WB in the United States.
If you can't beat 'em, eat 'em. Chew up the competition with Kirby as he jets across 20 gut-busting race courses in Kirby Air Ride. Only on Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone.
Kirby Air Ride is a spin-off of the Kirby series created by Masahiro Sakurai, the same man behind the Super Smash Bros. Series. It all started with Kirby's Dream Land on the Game Boy, with the following games appearing on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Nintendo, and Nintendo 64. Air Ride was in development in the early days of the Nintendo 64, under the title Kirby Bowl 64. During the Shoshinkai Show in 1995, two playable Kirby Bowl demos were shown, a single-player demo featuring Kirby racing through an obstacle course, and a multiplayer demo in which players knocked each other off the playing field. There were many changes to the game's direction during its long development. At E3 1996, Nintendo released a new trailer for the project. Now titled Kirby's Air Ride, it shows Kirby riding a warp star in a field. Eventually, the project was canceled, and Shigeru Miyamoto, who was a producer for Air Ride, said in a 1998 interview that it's now being reworked so Nintendo can focus on finalizing 1080 snowboarding. Air Ride reappeared in March 2003 at the annual DICE Summit in Las Vegas as a brief video teaser for the GameCube. Due to its subpar visuals and slow pace, it garnered a terrible reception. However, when a playable demo was shown at E3 that year, it earned a more favorable response. Shortly after the game's release, Sakurai resigned from his position at HAL Laboratory, as he was tired of the industry's constant pressure to keep creating sequels. The gameplay is different from other racing games because acceleration and forward movement are automatic. The control stick is for steering, and the A button is for braking, charging a boost, and sucking up enemies to absorb their powers. The game's modes are Air Ride, Top Ride, and City Trial. Air Ride is the main racing mode, where the player chooses a racing machine and a course, then races against other players or 3 CPUs. There are 2 ways to play Air Ride, laps and time attack. Laps allows the player to set the number of laps on the course, up to 1 to 99. In time mode, players compete against one another for a specific amount of time. In addition, King Dedede and Meta Knight are unlockable characters for Air Ride only. Top Ride is an overhead perspective race where players run through smaller courses. Finally, the fan favorite mode, City Trial. In this mode, players will navigate through a city while gathering various upgrade items like boost, top speed, charges, offense, and defense. After the selection time expires, the player will participate in a stadium event, which can vary from air glider, single race, drag race, target flight, high jump, Kirby Melee, and versus King Dedede and Destruction Derby. Kirby Air Ride received mixed reviews from critics. Praise was given to the music and the city trial mode, but the gameplay was criticized for feeling overly simplistic. It sold 750,000 copies in the United States and 422,311 in Japan. Despite its mixed reception, Kirby Air Ride has built a cult following since its release. On November 20, 2025, the sequel, Kirby Air Riders, was released for the Nintendo Switch 2.
Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike is the third and final installment of the Star Wars Rogue Squadron games made by Factor 5. The gameplay has the player engaging in scenes from the original Star Wars trilogy as they play missions on foot or ground vehicles like the X-Wing and AT-ST. There are also two multiplayer modes, Co-op and Versus. Players can replay missions from Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader in split-screen mode. Versus includes dogfight and survival, and players can pilot X-Wings, A-Wings, TIE Fighters, and Darth Vader's TIE Advanced. The game received positive reviews from game critics, while some had issues with how clunky the on-foot missions are and that there's not much in terms of refinement.
Why have you finally decided to run? Sir, are you afraid of the gorilla?
Think you stand a chance against the big boys?
Do you have a girlfriend?
Will your brother be on your team?
Sir, do you really think you can win?
I think what we're all looking for is, do you have a stance on anything?
Forget politics. Join the party with Mario Party 5. Over 60 new mini-games and 3D boards make this party all fun and no politics. Ready for everyone. GameCube.
Mario Party 5 is the fifth title in the Mario Party series and the second Mario Party installment on the GameCube. In Party mode, 4 players are on a game board where they take turns rolling a dice block 1 to 10, leading to how many spaces they'll move on the board. After the players have taken their turns, a random minigame will follow, and the winner will receive coins. The coins can be used to purchase items, pass through gates, use Boo Ghosts to take coins from other players, play the lottery to win coins or items, and purchase stars. The player with the most stars wins. There are 8 playable characters: Mario, Luigi, Toad, Boo, Koopa Kid, Peach, Daisy, Waluigi, Wario, and Yoshi. There are a total of 77 minigames separated into 9 categories: Battle, Duel, Bowser, DK, Story, 4-player, 1 versus 3, 2 versus 2, and Bonus. We'll go over a handful of them. Coney Island has players catching falling ice cream scoops. Ground Pound Down. The objective is to ground pound through rock blocks to reach the bottom of the cave. Leaf Leap. Players must jump from leaf to leaf to climb the highest on a beanstalk. Pushy Penguins. Players must avoid penguins that will push them into the water. Dinger Derby. A pitching machine throws 30 baseballs to each player. Whoever has the most hits wins. Flatiator. The solo player is on a large ball and must squash the other players. Clock Stoppers. To match the time, players must move both hands on their clocks. Bus Buffer. Players will have to clean off paint from a bus. And Button Mashers. Two players will have to hold blocks by tapping the buttons the blocks have. Critics gave Mario Party 5 mostly mixed to positive reviews. It became the 10th best-selling game for the GameCube, with 2.17 million copies sold.
Nice choice.
For a limited time, if you buy a Nintendo GameCube for $99.99, you'll get a bonus disc with 4 classic Zelda games free.
The Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition is a compilation of several installments in the series. On November 17th, Nintendo launched a promotion for anyone who bought a $99 GameCube to get the Collector's Edition for free. The games included in the Collector's Edition are The Legend of Zelda, The Adventure of Link, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. For the extra editions, there's a 20-minute playable demo of The Wind Waker, along with a sneak peek preview of the game, and a retrospective video of the Legend of Zelda series.
Tag Team, or else. Mario Kart Double Dash. Drive, throw stuff, switch. Only for Nintendo GameCube. Rated E for everyone. GameCube.
Mario Kart Double Dash is the fourth installment in the Mario Kart series. It began with Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, followed by Mario Kart 64 on the Nintendo 64, and Mario Kart Super Circuit on the Game Boy Advance. Double Dash was announced in E3 2001 with a 7-second clip showing Mario and Luigi driving on a 3D mapped surface. In its development, the team felt the concept of two riders sharing a kart would be different from other Mario Kart games. It was decided to make the gameplay simple for it to be appealing. For the graphics, it heavily utilized 3D graphics as opposed to Mario Kart 64, which used pre-rendered sprites. The gameplay has the player racing against other opponents on different courses. During races, the player can pick up item boxes that will randomly grant an item for use. The items are mushroom and triple mushrooms, which grant speed boosts. Banana peels and faux item boxes can make an opponent spin out of control. Red and green shells can be thrown at an opponent. The spiky blue shell can target the lead cart. Lightning Bolt makes opponents small, and the star item grants the player brief invincibility and a speed boost. There are 20 characters divided into 10 pairs in which the player can choose any way they see fit, and they have their own special items. Mario and Luigi have fireballs. Peach and Daisy have hearts, which can absorb an opponent's item and they can use it. Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong have giant bananas. Bowser and Bowser Jr. have Bowser shells. Wario and Waluigi have Bob-ombs. Yoshi and Birdo have eggs, which can hone on the lead opponent and drop random items. Koopa Troopa and Koopa Paratroopa have triple red and green shells. Baby Mario and Baby Luigi have chain chomps. Petey Piranha and King Boo can use all the characters' unique items. Toad and Toadette have golden mushrooms that give an unlimited amount of speed boost for a brief period. The last two character pairings can be unlocked. There are 4 game modes: Grand Prix, Time Trial, Versus, and Battle. In Grand Prix, the player can choose between 3 different engine classes: 50cc, 100cc, and 150cc. Mirror Mode, which must be unlocked, is the final engine class. Mushroom, Flower, Star, and Special are the 4 cups available in the Grand Prix mode. The tracks for the Mushroom Cup are Luigi Circuit, Peach Beach, Baby Park, and Dry Desert. Flower Cup's tracks are Mushroom Bridge, Mario Circuit, Daisy Cruiser, and Waluigi Stadium. Sherbet Land, Mushroom City, Yoshi Circuit, and DK Mountain are the tracks found in the Star Cup. And finally, Special Cup, which the player can unlock by finishing 100cc Star Cup, have Wario Coliseum, Dino Dino Jungle, Bowser's Castle, and Rainbow Road. There is a 5th cup that can be unlocked called the All-Star Cup that combines all of the tracks. Time Trial allows the player to complete any of the 16 courses in the shortest amount of time possible, with the best time preserved as a ghost, a carbon copy of the player's performance that they must compete against in subsequent runs. In Versus, the player can choose either Grand Prix or Battle. Battle mode has 3 sub-modes: Balloon Battle, Shine Theft, and Ba-Bomb Blast. Shine Theft is where players must fight to keep the Shine Sprite. Balloon Battle has players trying to pop each other's balloons. Finally, Ba-Bomb Blast. The players are given 4 stars, and each item box contains Ba-Bombs, with the goal to blow each other up. The last player standing wins. Mario Kart Double Dash received positive reviews from critics and fans alike for the 3D graphics, character and item roster, and gameplay. The sales for it went up to 6.96 million copies, making Double Dash the 2nd best-selling GameCube game. There was also a special edition of Double Dash which featured a bonus disc containing playable demos for Mario Party 5, Sonic Heroes, F-Zero GX, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike. In addition, there are trailers for Kirby Air Ride and the TV series Kirby Right Back At Ya, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, Pokemon Coliseum, 1080 Avalanche, Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup, NBA Live 2004, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Pokemon Channel is a Pokemon spin-off made by Umbrella, a Nintendo subsidiary. It was created to be a spiritual sequel to Hey You, Pikachu, and to promote the Nintendo e-reader attachment device for the Game Boy Advance. The gameplay of Pokemon Channel is a digital pet simulation. The player and Pikachu would watch various channels of a television network created by the Pokemon professor, Professor Oak. For the channels, there's Pokemon News Flash, where Psyduck delivers the news while Meowth reports from the scene. Shop and Squirtle is a shopping channel that acts as a shop the player can use to buy items. Slowpoke's Weather Report has Slowpoke giving a weather forecast. Professor Oak's report is where the game can be saved. And Quiz Wobbuffet, a quiz show hosted by Wobbuffet that the player can participate in to win money. Much like with Animal Crossing, Pokemon Channel operates on the GameCube's internal clock system, so each day in real time, a new channel can be accessed. Outside of watching channels with Pikachu, the player can travel to areas of Mintail Town where Pikachu can interact with wild Pokemon. Pokemon Channel received mixed reviews. Game critics felt that because most of the gameplay involves watching TV with Pikachu, it feels lacking in interaction. Game Rankings scored it 51%, and Metacritic gave it 55%.
It's coming. Race down avalanches, rock slides, and more in 1080 Avalanche. This time, the mountain hits back. Rated everyone.
.1080 Avalanche is the sequel to 1080 Snowboarding on the Nintendo 64. There are 6 different game modes: Match Racing, Trick Attack, Gate Challenge, Time Trial, Multiplayer, and Online Local Area Network Multiplayer. The main racing mode is Match Race, which has 4 difficulty settings: Novice, Hard, Expert, and Extreme. The Novice levels have 4 stages, Hard has 5, and Expert has 6. The player starts off first with Novice and can unlock Extreme with Progress. For each race, the player is given 3 tickets that serve as lives. If a race is lost, just 1 ticket will be taken. Once they're all gone, the game is over. The races themselves operate with the player racing against a CPU. The playable characters have their own stats that contribute to the style of gameplay. Every final event in the match race requires the player to outrun an avalanche that begins midway through the run or at the start. In Trick Attack, the goal is to perform tricks to earn points before time runs out. Time Trial is a time completion mode that has coins that can be used to unlock secret boards. Gate Challenge is where the player must go through gates and earn points to gain more unlockable content. Multiplayer allows 4 players to compete with one another, and local area network multiplayer allows for online play. 1080 Avalanche received mostly positive reviews from critics, with IGN giving it a 7.3 out of 10 score, and Game Rankings ranking it 75 out of 100.